The champagne tasted like regret. Paisley set the glass down, her fingers trembling against the crystal. The VIP lounge gleamed around her, all polished marble and soft amber lighting. Every surface whispering wealth she'd never know. You're still here. Graham Hawthorne's voice cut through the silence, sharp as broken glass. She looked up. He hadn't moved from his leather chair, but something in his posture had shifted, predatory, interested. I should go, Paisley said, standing. Her worn bag felt heavier now, the strap cutting into her shoulder like shame. Don't. One word. It stopped her cold. Graham rose, moving with the kind of confidence that came from never hearing no. He crossed the space between them in 3 strides, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive that made her pulse race. Why? She breathed. Because you looked at me like I'm human. His blue eyes searched hers, and for a moment she saw something raw beneath the polished surface. No one does that anymore. The airport intercom crackled overhead. Final boarding calls. People rushing to gates. But here, in this stolen moment, the world felt suspended. What's your name? He asked Paisley. Paisley Anderson. Paisley, he said it slowly, tasting each syllable. Where are you going? Chicago. Commercial flight. She tried to smile. The cheap seats. Graham pulled something from his inner pocket. A ticket. First class. He held it out between them like an offering, like a test. I can't, she said immediately. You can. Why would you do this? His jaw tightened. Maybe I'm tired of only meeting people who want something from me. Everyone wants something, Paisley said softly. What do you want? The question hung in the air, electric and dangerous. She should lie, should say something safe. Instead, the truth slipped out. To be seen, really seen. Not as someone struggling or failing or barely holding on. Her voice cracked. Just seen. Something flickered across Graham's face. Recognition, maybe. Or pain. Then let me see you, he said. Have dinner with me. One night, you don't even know me. I know you walked into the wrong room and didn't apologize for existing. His thumb brushed the edge of the ticket still held between them. I know you're proud enough to refuse charity. I know there's paint under your fingernails and your bag has a rip in the corner you keep trying to hide. Paisley's breath caught. He had been watching, really watching. One dinner, she heard herself say. Graham's lips curved, not quite a smile. I'll find you. How? He was already walking away, his phone materializing in his hand. I always find what I'm looking for. The lounge doors closed behind him with a whisper. Paisley stood frozen, the first-class ticket burning in her palm. She didn't know then that accepting it would destroy everything. That Graham Hawthorne didn't just find people, he owned them. 2 weeks later, her phone rang. Unknown number. Paisley Anderson. A woman's voice, crisp and professional. Mr. Hawthorne's car will arrive at 7. Wear something elegant. The line went dead before she could refuse. At 6:47 p.m., Paisley stood in front of her cracked mirror, hands shaking as she fastened the clasp of her only nice dress. Black, simple. Second. Hand. When the town car pulled up outside her apartment building, neighbors stared through their windows. The driver opened her door without a word. The restaurant was the kind with no prices on the menu. Crystal chandeliers threw fractured light across white tablecloths. A pianist played something haunting in the corner. Graham was waiting. He stood when she approached. His dark suit perfectly tailored, his expression unreadable. But his eyes, those piercing blue eyes, tracked her every movement. You came, he said. Did I have a choice? You always have a choice, Paisley. She slid into the seat across from him, hyper-aware of every breath, every glance. A waiter materialized, pouring wine she couldn't pronounce. Tell me something real, Graham said after the waiter disappeared.
Ain't what?
Everyone lies to me. Business partners, board members, women who smile and see dollar signs. Tell me something true, Paisley swallowed. I'm terrified right now, of me. Of this. Of you. of wanting something I can't have. His hand crossed the table, fingers brushing hers. The touch sent electricity racing up her arm.
What if you already have it?
Before she could answer, his phone buzzed. Graham glanced at the screen, and his entire body went rigid. The warmth drained from his face. I have to take this. He stood abruptly. Don't leave. Disappeared toward the back of the restaurant, phone pressed to his ear. Paisley sat alone, her heart hammering. 3, 5. Then a woman appeared at the table, blonde, beautiful, wearing a dress that cost more than Paisley's rent. You must be the new one, the woman said. Her smile, sharp as knives. Excuse me? I'm Victoria Hawthorne, Graham's wife. The restaurant tilted. The wine glass slipped from Paisley's fingers, red liquid bleeding across the white tablecloth. His what? Victoria's laugh was cold crystal shattering. Oh, sweetheart. Did he forget to mention that part? Paisley couldn't breathe. The restaurant spun, Victoria's perfect smile burning into her retinas like a brand. Right, wife, Paisley repeated. The word tasting like poison, legally separated. Technically, Victoria examined her manicured nails. But Graham has a hard time letting go of his possessions. I'm not save it. Victoria's eyes were ice. I've seen a dozen girls like you. He finds someone real, someone broken enough to fix. Makes them feel special. Then reality hits, and he goes back to his empire. She leaned closer. You're not the first. You won't be the last. Footsteps. Graham appeared, his face dark with fury. Victoria, leave. I was just introducing myself to your new project. Victoria stood, smoothing her dress. See you at the lawyer's, darling. She swept past him, leaving a trail of expensive perfume and shattered illusions. Graham's jaw was tight enough to crack. Paisley, don't. She stood, grabbing her bag. Just don't. Let me explain. You're married. Her voice broke. What else matters? His hand caught her wrist. Not hard, but firm. She's lying about who we are. Is she lying about the marriage? Silence. Paisley ripped her arm free. That's what I thought. She made it 3 steps before his voice stopped her. My daughter is dying. The words hit like a bullet. Paisley turned slowly. Graham stood in the middle of the restaurant, every eye on them, his perfect composure finally cracking. Victoria and I married young. Had a daughter, Emma. She's 8 years old and she has leukemia. The air left Paisley's lungs. The marriage ended years ago, Graham continued, his voice raw. But we stayed legally tied because of Emma's medical care, insurance, custody arrangements. He moved closer. Victoria lives in Paris with her new partner. I send money. We share time with Emma when she's stable enough. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted one night where I wasn't the father of a dying child or the husband in a dead marriage. His eyes burned into hers. I wanted to be just Graham, with someone who saw me as just a man. Paisley's chest ached. That's not fair. I know. You lied by omission. I did. Should walk away right now. You should. He closed the distance between them. But you won't. Why not? Because you feel it too. His hand lifted, fingers ghosting along her jaw. This thing between us. It's terrifying and impossible and completely wrong timing. But it's real. She should slap him. Should run. But his touch was gentle, and his eyes held such naked pain that all her anger drained away. Tell me about her, Paisley whispered. Emma. Something broke in Graham's expression. She loves art, draws constantly, even in the hospital. His voice cracked. She's braver than I'll ever be. When did you find out? 2 years ago. Stage 3. We've tried everything. Chemo, radiation, clinical trials. He swallowed hard. Nothing's working. Paisley's hand found his, without conscious thought. Their fingers interlaced, 2 broken people, holding each other up. Why me? She asked. Why track me down? The painting. The one in your gallery? Graham's thumb traced circles on her palm. The blues and oranges. You called it Between Worlds. Emma drew something just like it last month. said it was how she felt. Caught between staying and going? Tears burned Paisley's eyes. Graham, I don't want your pity. His grip tightened. I want your company. I want to pretend, just for a while, that life is more than hospital rooms and lawyers and watching my daughter fade. The pianist played something soft and sad. Around them, conversation resumed, the moment becoming private again. One condition, Paisley said finally. Anything. Not about your life, not about what this is. Graham pulled her closer, his forehead resting against hers. This is me drowning, and you're the only thing that feels like air. That's not healthy. I know. We're going to hurt each other, probably. She kissed him. Soft at first, then desperate. Two people trying to forget their pain in each other's touch. He tasted like wine and sorrow and something dangerously addictive. When they broke apart, his phone was buzzing. Graham glanced at the screen, and his face went white. It's the hospital. His hands shook as he answered. This is Hawthorne. What? When? A pause. I'm on my way. He ended the call, already moving toward the door. Emma? Paisley asked. She collapsed. They're running tests. He looked back at her, torn. I have to go. Obviously go. Graham hesitated. Come with me. What? Please. His voice cracked. I can't do this alone again. Every rational thought screamed at her to refuse. She'd known this man for 3 weeks. He was married, complicated, drowning in tragedy she couldn't fix, but the terror in his eyes was so raw, so human, that the word came out before she could stop it. Okay? They ran. The hospital was sterile white and smelled like antiseptic. Graham moved through the halls like he'd walked them 1,000 times. Nurses nodded. Doctors looked up with sympathy. They found Victoria in a private waiting room, mascara smeared, hands shaking. They won't tell me anything yet, she said, not even acknowledging Paisley. She just collapsed at dinner, started seizing. Graham's hand found Paisley's, squeezing so hard it hurt. A doctor emerged. Mr. Hawthorne? Mrs. Hawthorne? How is she? The doctor's expression said everything before his words did. The cancer has spread to her brain. We're keeping her comfortable, but how long? Victoria's voice was barely audible. Weeks, maybe days. The waiting room went silent. Graham's hand released Paisley's. He walked to the window. Staring at nothing, Victoria sobbed, and Paisley stood there, a stranger in someone else's nightmare. Wondering what kind of person falls for a man whose world is ending. Is asking for you, the doctor said to Graham. Both of you. Graham and Victoria moved toward Emma's room like ghosts. Paisley stayed behind, alone in the waiting room. She should leave. Should walk away from this tragedy, this man, this impossible situation. Instead, she sat down and waited. 3 hours later, Graham emerged. His eyes were red, his tie loosened, his perfect composure shattered. She wants to meet you, he said. Graham, I can't, please. He reached for her hand. Emma saw you in my phone. The gallery security footage, I had to track you down. She asked who the sad, pretty lady was. I'm nobody. You're the reason I smiled this week. His voice broke. She wants to know why. Paisley let him lead her down the hall, past rooms filled with sick children. Past grief and hope tangled together, Emma's room was at the end, small, pale, wires everywhere. But her eyes were bright when Paisley entered. You're real? Emma whispered, her voice weak but curious. Daddy said you were a painter. Paisley's throat closed. I am. Will you paint me something? What would you like? Emma smiled, and despite everything, it was beautiful. Hope. I forgot what it looks like. Paisley's vision blurred. I'll try. Promise? Promise. Emma's eyes drifted closed. Exhaustion winning. Graham walked Paisley out. His silence heavy in the parking lot under harsh fluorescent lights. He finally spoke. I'm going to ask you something selfish. What? Stay. Not forever. Just until he couldn't finish, till she's gone, Paisley finished quietly. Yes, Graham, that's I know. I'm asking you to watch a child die and pretend. We're something more than two broken people using each other to feel less alone. He cupped her face. I'm asking you to break your own heart for mine. Paisley should say no. Should run. Should protect herself. I'll stay, she whispered. He kissed her forehead, and she felt his tears against her skin. Neither of them saw Victoria watching from the hospital window or the phone in her hand. Recording everything. Revenge, after all. Required evidence. The painting took 3 days. Paisley worked in the hospital family lounge. Acrylics spread across borrowed tables, nurses bringing coffee she forgot to drink. She painted dawn, not the sun rising, but the moment before. When darkness holds its breath and light whispers promises it might not keep. Hope, Emma had asked for. This was the closest Paisley could give. It's beautiful. Graham's voice came from behind her, exhausted and raw. He hadn't slept, she could tell. Shadows carved hollows under his eyes. It's not finished. Nothing worth keeping ever is. He moved closer, his hand finding the small of her back. She's having a good day. Wants to see you? Paisley set down her brush. And Victoria? Left this morning. Said she couldn't watch anymore. His jaw tightened. She's always been better at running. They walked to Emma's room in silence. The little girl was sitting up, coloring book open, her bald head covered with a purple beanie. Emma's smile was sunshine breaking through clouds. Did you bring it? Not yet. Soon. Paisley sat beside the bed. What are you drawing? You and Daddy. Emma held up the page. 2 stick figures holding hands under a crooked sun. You make him smile different. Like he means it. Graham cleared his throat, turning away. Paisley's chest ached. Your dad smiles a lot. Not really. Not since I got sick. Emma's voice dropped. I heard Mommy tell him, I'm the reason he's sad all the time. Graham started. It's okay, Daddy. She looked at Paisley. But when you're here, he forgets to be sad. That's good, right? Paisley couldn't speak. She just nodded. A nurse entered with medication. Emma took the pills without complaint, practiced at swallowing poison that pretended to be cure. Will you stay while I nap? Emma asked Paisley. Of course. Graham kissed his daughter's forehead and left, his shoulders carrying weight no father should bear. Paisley held Emma's small hand until her breathing evened out. Then she sat there longer, watching the rise and fall of the child's chest, memorizing what borrowed time looked like. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hello? You think you're special? Victoria's voice was venom. You think he loves you? I never said he's using you. Graham always needs someone to play devoted father for. Makes him feel less guilty about working 80-hour weeks. Victoria laughed, bitter and sharp. I was you once, young, naive, thought I could fix him. This isn't about me and Graham. Everything is about Graham. That's what you'll learn. His business. His reputation. His perfect image. A pause. He'll throw you away the second Emma's gone, and he doesn't need the distraction anymore. The call ended. Paisley sat frozen. Victoria's words burrowing under her skin like splinters. That night, Graham took her to his penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, lights sprawling like scattered stars. The space was immaculate, cold, barely lived in. You don't stay here much, Paisley observed. Can't stand the quiet. Graham poured whiskey, his hands finally steady. The hospital at least has noise. Beeping machines. Nurses talking. Proof that life continues. And when Emma, she couldn't finish, then the quiet wins. He downed the whiskey in one swallow. Victoria called you, didn't she? Not a question? Paisley nodded. Double quotes. What did she say? That you're using me? That I'm a distraction. Graham set down his glass. Is that what you think? I don't know what to think anymore. Paisley moved to the window, pressing her palm against cold glass. This thing between us, it was born from grief. What happens when there's nothing left to grieve? He crossed to her, turning her to face him. You want honesty? Always. I am using you, but not the way Victoria meant. His thumb traced her cheekbone. I'm using your presence to remember I'm human. Using your art to believe in beauty again. Using your company to forget, just 4 minutes at a time, that I'm losing my daughter. That's not love, Graham. No, it's survival. His forehead touched hers. But maybe that's enough. It's not. Then what do you want from me? The question hung between them, dangerous and necessary. I want you to grieve, Paisley said. Really grieve. Not hide behind work or whiskey or me. I want you to break. To shatter. To feel everything. Her voice cracked. Because until you do, you're just a ghost pretending to be alive. Something in Graham's expression shifted. Cracked. If I break, I won't stop. Then I'll hold the pieces. He kissed her, desperate, drowning, his hands tangled in her hair, pulling her closer, like she was oxygen and he'd been underwater too long. They moved through the penthouse, shedding clothes and pretense. In his bed, they came together like two people trying to forget mortality, trying to prove they still existed. Afterward, tangled in expensive sheets, Graham traced the paint stains on Paisley's fingers. Victoria's planning something, he said quietly. What? She wants full custody of Emma's medical decisions. Claims I'm emotionally compromised. He exhaled. She's not wrong. Can she do that? With the right lawyers and evidence, yes. His jaw tightened. She took pictures of us at the hospital. Videos. Building a case that I'm more focused on my mistress than my daughter. Paisley sat up. I should leave. No. Graham, if I'm hurting Emma's care, you're the only thing keeping me sane enough to function. You know? He pulled her back down. Without you, I'd disappear into work until the call came. I'd miss her last days because I couldn't face them. It's too much pressure. I know. He kissed her shoulder. I'm drowning you. I see it happening and I can't stop because you're the only thing that feels like air. We're toxic together, probably. This ends badly, definitely. Paisley turned to face him. Then let's make a deal. What kind? We get Emma through this. However long she has, we give her every good day we can. Paisley's throat tightened. And when she's gone, so am I. Clean break. No dragging this out. Pain flickered across Graham's face. You've already planned your exit. One of us has to be smart. And if I don't want you to leave, you don't get a choice, Paisley said softly. This is me protecting us both from becoming people we'll hate. Graham was quiet for a long time. Then deal. They shook hands like business partners negotiating a contract. The formality of it was absurd and heartbreaking. Paisley's phone buzzed. Text from the hospital. Her heart stopped. It's Emma, she whispered. She's asking for us. They dressed in silence, dread settling over them like snow. The hospital was midnight quiet. Emma's room glowed with soft monitors. The little girl was awake, her breathing labored, eyes unfocused. Daddy. I'm here, baby. Graham took her hand. Did Paisley finish the painting? Paisley's vision blurred. Almost good. Emma's smile was faint. I want to see hope before I go. You're not going anywhere, Graham said, his voice breaking. Daddy, don't lie. Emma squeezed his hand with what little strength she had. I'm tired. It's okay to be tired, right? Emma, please, I love you. Tell Mommy I love her too. Her eyes found Paisley. And thank you for making Daddy smile. For real this time? The monitor's steady beeping started to slow. Nurses rushed in. Graham held his daughter. Whispering promises and apologies and love. Paisley stood frozen, watching a father's heart break in real time, and then in the chaos. Her phone buzzed again. A video message from Victoria. Subject line. The truth about your precious Graham. Paisley's hands shook as she opened it. The footage showed Graham in his office 3 weeks ago. The day after they'd met at the airport, he was on the phone, pacing. I need someone believable, his voice said on the recording. Young, artistic. Someone Victoria will see as genuine competition. Add another voice. For what purpose, sir? Custody battle strategy. If she thinks I'm moving on, building a new life, she might settle the medical decisions without court. Pause. Find me someone from that gallery. the Anderson girl. She's perfect. Desperate enough to be grateful. Naive enough to believe whatever I tell her. The video ended. Paisley looked up. Emma's monitors had flatlined. Graham was sobbing, and Paisley's world had just shattered into pieces, too small to ever repair. Paisley ran down sterile hallways, past sympathetic nurses, through automatic doors that opened too slowly. The night air hit her lungs like broken glass, her phone clutched in her hand. Victoria's video playing on repeat in her mind. Find me someone desperate enough to be grateful. She made it 3 blocks before vomiting into an alley. Her phone rang. Graham, she declined. It rang again. And again, finally, she answered. Where are you? His voice was wrecked, hollow. Emma just died and you vanished. I know what you did. Her words came out sharp, lethal. Victoria sent me the video. Silence. Then quietly, let me explain. Explain what? That I was a pawn? That everything was calculated? It started that way. His breath hitched. But Paisley, don't. Don't you dare say it changed. She laughed, the sound bitter. You found someone naive enough to believe. Your words, Graham. Naive enough. Where are you? Somewhere you'll never find me again. She ended the call and threw her phone in a dumpster. The painting sat unfinished in the hospital lounge. Hope, half-rendered. She'd never complete it now. Paisley walked through the city until dawn, her mind replaying every moment, every touch, every lie disguised as truth. By sunrise, she'd reached a decision. She went to Victoria. The woman lived in a hotel penthouse. Temporary housing during her custody battle. She answered the door in silk pajamas, her face carefully composed. I thought you might come, Victoria said. Why? Paisley's voice was ice. Why send me the video now? Your daughter just died. 'Cause Graham doesn't get to play grieving father and devoted lover simultaneously. He doesn't get to use your pain to assuage his guilt. Victoria poured coffee like they were discussing whether I was used 7 years ago. He used me too. To get what? His parents' approval. They wanted him to settle down, produce an heir, play the family man. Victoria's smile was knife sharp. I was the right background, right education, right everything. Except I wasn't real to him. Just a role to fill. And Emma was the only real thing that came from our arrangement. Victoria's composure cracked, just slightly. I loved that child more than I've loved anything. But Graham saw her as another obligation. Another thing to manage and control. That's not true. I saw him with her. You saw him performing. Victoria set down her cup. Graham Hawthorne doesn't love. He collects. People, companies, experiences. You were just another acquisition. Then what do you want from me? Help me destroy him. Victoria pulled out a folder. Financial records. Proof he's been embezzling from Emma's medical fund to pay off board members. Small amounts. Untraceable. Except I traced them. Why would he steal from his own daughter's medical care? Control. If Emma's fund dried up, I'd have to come to him for every treatment. Every decision. Victoria's eyes glittered. He wanted me dependent. Desperate. Paisley felt sick. I don't believe you. Then verify it yourself. Victoria slid the folder across. These are copies. Take them. Investigate. Then decide if the man you think you know exists at all. Paisley took the folder with shaking hands. One more thing, Victoria said. Graham's assistant, the one on that phone call. Her name is Rachel Cho. She's worked for him for 8 years. She'll tell you the truth if you ask the right questions. Why are you helping me? Because you loved him. Victoria's voice softened, just barely. Or thought you did. That makes you dangerous to his perfectly controlled world, and I want to watch it burn. Paisley left with the folder and a name. She found Rachel Cho at Hawthorne Enterprises headquarters. The woman was 40s, efficient, with kind eyes that held too many secrets. I know who you are, Rachel said, when Paisley introduced herself. I'm sorry about Emma, and I'm sorry about what he did to you. Was it real? Paisley asked. Any of it. Rachel glanced around the empty conference room. Come with me. She led Paisley to Graham's office. Unlocked it with a keycard. Inside, expensive furniture, and city views. But on his desk, a sketch. Emma's drawing of Paisley and Graham holding hands, and next to it, a file. Paisley's file. Her employment history. Financial records. Social media deep dive. Psychological profile from a private investigator. He researched you before the airport, Rachel said quietly. Knew you'd be on that flight. Knew you'd wander. The VIP lounge door was left unlocked deliberately. All of it was staged. The meeting was everything after Rachel hesitated. I don't know. I've worked for Graham Hawthorne for 8 years. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looked at you. It doesn't make it real. No, but it makes it complicated. Rachel pulled another file from a drawer. Victoria's accusations about the embezzlement, they're fake. She doctored financial records. I can prove it. Paisley's head spun. Why would she do that? Because she wants full control of Emma's estate. $2 million, managed by whoever has custody at time of death. Rachel's expression hardened. Graham might be manipulative, but Victoria is actively criminal, so he didn't steal from Emma. He did something worse. He paid doctors to keep Emma alive longer than was humane. Experimental treatments that caused more pain than hope, all because he couldn't face losing her. Paisley sat down, the weight of competing truths crushing her. They're both terrible people, she whispered. Yes, Rachel's voice was gentle. But Graham's terrible because he loves too much and trusts too little. Victoria's terrible because she loves nothing but herself. What am I supposed to do with this? That depends. Rachel closed the files. Do you love him? I don't know. I don't know what's real anymore. And maybe that's your answer. Rachel handed her a business card. This is Graham's therapist. The one he's been seeing since Emma's diagnosis. Talk to her. Off the record. She'll tell you who he really is. Paisley took the card. Numb, that evening, she sat in Dr. Sarah Chen's office. Surrounded by leather furniture and framed degrees. Graham told me about you, Dr. Chen said. In our last session, 3 days ago. What did he say? That he'd ruined the only good thing to enter his life in years. That he'd calculated and manipulated his way into your world, thinking he could control the outcome. And that somewhere along the way, he'd fallen in love and forgotten how to stop lying. Paisley's breath caught. He said he loved me? He said he didn't deserve to. That you'd be better off never knowing how deep his manipulation went. Dr. Chen leaned forward. Graham Hawthorne is a man who grew up believing love is transactional. His parents traded affection for achievement. His marriage was a business arrangement. Even Emma became another thing to manage rather than simply cherish. So, I was supposed to be what? His redemption arc? No, you were supposed to be his mirror. Dr. Chen's voice was kind. Someone as broken as him. Someone who understood that sometimes people destroy themselves trying to feel anything at all. That's not love. You're right. It's recognition. The question is whether recognition can become something more. Paisley left the office more confused than when she'd entered. Her phone, retrieved from the dumpster earlier, showed 43 missed calls from Graham. No voicemails. As if he knew words wouldn't fix what he'd broken, she finally called him back. Paisley. His voice was destroyed. Please, let me see you. Why? So you can calculate your next manipulation? So I can apologize for the only real thing I've ever felt and had no idea how to process without destroying it. That's not an apology, I know. A long pause. Emma's funeral is tomorrow. Victoria's having her cremated immediately. There will be no service. No goodbye. Just ashes and a check for $2 million that we'll fight over in court. Graham, I need you there. At the crematorium? Not for me. For Emma, his voice cracked. You promised her hope. The painting. She never got to see it finished. It's at the hospital. I have it. I took it home. It's beautiful and incomplete and perfect, just like everything about this disaster. He exhaled shakily. Bring your paints. Finish it there. Let her go, knowing someone kept their promise. Paisley closed her eyes. You don't fight fair. I never learned how. One condition. Anything. After this, you let me disappear. No tracking me down. No grand gestures. You let me go. Deal. The crematorium was small, private, suffocating. Victoria stood on one side, her lawyer beside her. Graham stood alone on the other. Paisley entered with her paints and the unfinished canvas. Nobody spoke. The small casket sat ready. Inside, Emma, 8 years old, gone. Paisley sat up in the corner near a window. Natural light. She painted the final strokes. The moment when darkness breaks and dawn arrives. Hope realized behind her. Victoria sobbed. Graham stood silent, watching Paisley work. When it was finished, Paisley placed the painting beside Emma's casket. Hope, she whispered, like you asked for. The crematorium attendant asked if they were ready. Graham nodded. Victoria turned away, and Paisley watched, as the only innocent thing in this entire tragic mess disappeared into fire. Afterward, in the parking lot, Graham tried to speak. Don't, Paisley said. We're done. I fell in love with you. The words tumbled out, desperate. I know I don't deserve to say it. I know I manipulated and lied and used you. But somewhere between the airport and this moment, I fell completely. Devastatingly in love. That doesn't fix anything. I know. Doesn't erase the lies. I know it doesn't make us okay. I know. He stepped closer. But it's true. And I needed you to hear it once before you disappeared. Paisley looked at him. Really looked. Saw the broken man beneath the tailored suit. The father grieving his daughter. The boy who'd never learned to love without contracts and contingencies. I can't save you, Graham. I'm not asking you to.
Oh, then what are you asking?
He pulled something from his pocket. A key. My lake house. 2 hours north. Completely isolated. I haven't been there in years. He pressed it into her hand. Go there. Use it as long as you need. Paint. Grieve. Exist without me lurking in the background. When you're ready, leave the key under the mat, and I'll know you're gone for good. Why would you do this? Because you gave my daughter hope in her last days. Because you held my hand while my world ended. Because you deserve space to heal without me infecting it. His thumb brushed her cheek. And because maybe, in some other life, we met differently and got to be happy. He walked away before she could respond. Paisley stood alone in the parking lot. A key in her hand, her heart scattered in directions she couldn't map. Victoria appeared beside her. It's lying again, she said. The lake house is a cage. He'll show up. Claim it's fate. Pull you back in, maybe. Paisley pocketed the key. Or maybe some people break so completely they finally learn to tell the truth. You're a fool if you go there, probably. Paisley met Victoria's gaze. But I've been a fool this entire time. Might as well commit. She left Victoria standing there, furious and alone. The drive north was quiet. Trees replaced buildings. Silence replaced noise. The lake house was exactly as Graham had described. Isolated, beautiful, empty, Paisley. Unlocked the door and stepped inside. The living room held photo albums. She opened one. Emma. Baby pictures. Toddler smiles. School photos. And in every image, Graham looked at his daughter like she was the only thing keeping him human. Paisley turned the page. A photo slipped out. Her. At the gallery. Taken weeks before the airport, Graham had been watching, or long before their manufactured meeting. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? It's Rachel Cho. Don't stay at that house. Graham's there. He never left. Paisley's blood went cold. What do you mean he's there? He drove up last night after Emma's cremation. He's been there the whole time. Rachel's voice was tight with worry. Paisley, he's been drinking. Sent me a message this morning that didn't make sense. Something about ending things properly. Ending what? I don't know. But you need to leave now. Paisley ended the call, heart hammering. She should run. Should get in her car and never look back. Instead, she walked deeper into the lake house, Graham. Her voice echoed through empty rooms. No answer. She found him on the back deck, overlooking dark water. A bottle of whiskey sat empty beside him. His suit jacket was gone, shirt unbuttoned, tie discarded. He looked like a man who'd stopped fighting. "You were supposed to have the house to yourself," he said without turning. "That was the point," Rachel called. "Said you sent a concerning message. Rachel worries too much." He finally looked at her. His eyes were red, hollow. "Why are you still here?" "Because I opened your photo album. Saw the picture of me from weeks before the airport." Paisley moved closer. "How long were you watching?" 2 months. No hesitation. "No more lies." "I saw you at the gallery during a business meeting nearby. You were arguing with your boss about rent prices for wall space. You were so fierce, so alive. I couldn't look away. So you researched me?" "Yes." "Planned the airport encounter." "Yes." "Manipulated everything that followed, till I couldn't anymore." Graham stood, unsteady. "I calculated how to meet you, how to intrigue you, how to make you stay. What I didn't calculate was actually falling in love with the person you are, not the person I needed you to be." "That's convenient. It's true." He moved closer. "You want to know the moment I knew I'd destroyed myself? When Emma was dying and you held my hand? Not because I'd asked, not because you thought you should, but because you genuinely couldn't watch another person hurt alone. Graham, I've spent my entire life using people. My parents, Victoria, business partners. Even Emma became someone to manage rather than love freely." His voice broke. "And then you walked into that lounge, terrified and real, and I thought I could use you too. Instead, you reminded me what it feels like to be human." Paisley's throat tightened. "I can't be your redemption." "I know. That's why I brought you here." He pulled an envelope from his pocket. "This is paperwork for Victoria. I'm giving her full control of Emma's estate. The $2 million, all of it. No fight. No court. Why? Because Emma deserved better than 2 people who loved her fighting over her memory for money?" He handed Paisley the envelope. "And because I'm done collecting things to prove I exist?" "What does that mean?" Graham walked to the edge of the deck, staring at black water below. "I've been standing here for 6 hours, trying to decide if I have the courage to jump." Paisley's breath stopped. "Graham, no."
"Oh, don't worry."
"I'm too much of a coward," he laughed, the sound empty. "But I thought about it. Really thought about what would happen if I just stopped. Stopped manipulating. Stopped controlling. Stopped existing, and I realized the only thing keeping me here is the question of whether you'll ever forgive me." Paisley crossed the deck, grabbed his arm, pulled him away from the edge. "Don't you dare put that on me." "I'm not." "I'm asking." His eyes met hers, raw and broken. "Not for another chance. Not for redemption. Just for knowledge. Can someone like me, who's spent his entire life calculating connections, ever learn to love without destroying it? I don't know." "That's fair." He reached up, cupping her face. "Thank you for being honest. Graham, you need help. Professional help. Not a therapist you half listen to while plotting your next move. Real, committed help. I know. And you need to grieve, Emma. Actually grieve. Not drown it in work or whiskey or me. I know. And you need to stop trying to control outcomes and just let life happen. I don't know how, then learn."
Yes.
Paisley's voice cracked. "Because this version of you, the one standing on deck edges contemplating oblivion, he's not someone I can love. But the version who held his daughter and wept, who painted alongside me in hospital lounges, who looked at me like I was real, that version has potential. What if that version only exists around you? Then you need to find out who you are alone first." She stepped back. "I'm leaving. Taking you up on your offer. I'll stay here a week, paint, grieve, exist. Then I'm disappearing. For real this time. And me? You're going to check yourself into a facility. Rachel's already found options. Grief counseling. Addiction treatment. Whatever you need." Paisley pulled out her phone, showing him the email Rachel had sent. "You're going to do the work. Not for me. Not for Emma's memory. For yourself." Graham stared at the email. "And after? After we see what happens? No promises. No grand gestures. Just to people who might be able to build something real if they both get healthy first? That's terrifying. Good. Terrifying means it matters. She grabbed the whiskey bottle, threw it into the lake. Now get in your car and drive to the facility Rachel picked. Check yourself in tonight. Text me when you arrive so I know you're safe. Then no contact for 30 days minimum. Paisley, 30 days? You focus on yourself. I focus on myself. Then we see if there's anything left worth salvaging. He stood there, wavering. Then finally, he nodded. I love you, he said. I need you to know that's real, I know. Her eyes burned. But love without foundation is just beautiful wreckage waiting to happen. So we build the foundation. You build yourself first. Then we'll see. Graham kissed her forehead, soft and desperate. Then he walked back through the lake house, grabbed his keys and left. Paisley stood on the deck. Listening to his car disappear down the gravel drive, she was alone, for the first time in weeks. Truly alone, she went inside, found canvas and paints in a closet Graham had stocked. And she painted, not hope this time, not dawn breaking. She painted the moment between, the space where night holds its breath and day hasn't yet committed, the uncertainty, the potential, the terrifying freedom of not knowing what comes next. She painted for 7 days. On the final morning, her phone buzzed. Graham, completed intake. Starting intensive therapy tomorrow. It's harder than I expected. Thank you for not letting me take the easy way out. Paisley, proud of you. Keep going. Graham, will you be there when I'm done? Paisley stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed, I don't know. But I'll be somewhere. And if we're meant to find each other again, we will. The right way this time. She left the key under the mat, packed her paintings, drove away from the lake house and the ghost of what they'd been. 3 months later, Paisley had a gallery showing her new collection, Between Worlds. 20 paintings exploring the space between grief and hope, love and destruction, truth and beautiful lies. The opening night was packed. Critics, collectors, people who understood that sometimes art is just processed pain made visible. She was talking to a curator. When she felt him, turned, Graham stood near the entrance, hands in his pockets, looking uncertain. He'd lost weight. His eyes were clearer. He wore jeans and a simple sweater, no tailored armor. He looked human. Their eyes met across the gallery. He didn't move toward her, didn't assume. Just offered a small, tentative smile. Paisley excused herself from the curator and walked over. Hi, Graham said. Hi, your work is stunning. I wanted to see it. Hope that's okay? It's okay. She gestured to the paintings. What do you think? He studied them, really looked, didn't rush. Finally, they're honest, raw. They show someone who survived something devastating and chose to create rather than destroy. Is that what you've been doing? Choosing to create? Trying to... Therapy's been brutal. I've had to face every terrible thing I've done, every person I've used. He met her eyes. Including you. Especially you. And I'm learning that I spent my whole life building walls and calling them foundations. That I confused control with connection. That love terrified me because it required trust I never learned to give. He took a breath. I'm not fixed. Maybe I never will be. But I'm working toward being someone who doesn't destroy everything he touches. Paisley felt something shift in her chest. Why are you here, Graham? Because you said, if we were meant to find each other, we would. The right way. He pulled something from his pocket. A small canvas, maybe 4 inches square. A painting. Crude, amateur, but earnest. I've been taking art classes, trying to understand what you see when you create. This is my first completed piece. She took it, examined it. Abstract blues and oranges swirling together. Her signature style, attempted by someone learning to speak a new language. It's terrible, she said. I know, but it's honest. I'm trying, around them. The gallery buzzed with conversation and success. Paisley's career was finally taking off. Critics were calling her the next emerging voice in contemporary art. She had everything she'd dreamed of, except she was still broken. Still healing? Still figuring out who she was outside of trauma and borrowed grief. I can't promise you anything, she said finally. I'm not asking you to. I need more time. Maybe a lot more time. I'll wait. Graham, you can't just wait for me. You have to build your own life. Not one centered around me or what we might be. I am. Therapy. Work-life balance. Actual hobbies? I'm learning to exist without needing someone else to make me feel real. He smiled, sad but genuine. But if someday you decide you want to try this again, as two people who've done the work, I'd like that chance. And if I never do, then I'll be grateful I got to know you at all. Even if it started with lies, what we became was real. Paisley looked at the small painting in her hands, at the man standing before her, vulnerable and uncertain, and finally honest. Coffee, she said. Not a date, not a relationship, just coffee. Once a month. We talk about therapy and art and healing. No pressure, no expectations. I'd like that. And maybe if we both keep doing the work. If we both become people who can love without destroying it, maybe someday it becomes more. Maybe they stood there. Two people who'd met in chaos and nearly drowned each other, choosing instead to breathe. Outside the gallery, the city lights flickered like stars. Inside, Paisley's paintings showed that the space between darkness and light wasn't empty. It was full of possibility. Graham extended his hand. Paisley took it not as lovers, not as saviors, just as two broken people learning to be whole, and in that moment, between who they'd been and who they might become, that was enough. The end.